And we are here. You guys want to talk or meditate?
Doc, you did a good job last game getting the ball out of Jalen's hands late in the game. Jalen didn't even get a shot off in overtime. Sorry. What was kind of the key to that?
Just our timing of it, you know. They're both just unbelievable players. You know, very, very hard to guard one-on-one. But if you send help all game, they move the ball. They do a great job of that. They pick you apart. So we really want to try to pick our spots, when to do it, when not to do it. There's been times we've guessed right. There's been times we've guessed wrong. They're tough. You know, but at the end of the game, you kind of think, I'd rather for them to move the ball than shoot the ball, for sure. And that was what we were thinking.
Right. You've said at a certain point you'd rather single cover him to, you know, not have him be a passer, but that changes late in the game.
Yeah, we just mix it up, you know. It's, you know, great players are great players, and you try your best to just keep them off balance. You know, fake a double team, go once. They've seen them all. They really have. So have our guys, and you just try to, you know, guess right when you can.
Coach, it's Game 5, and your teams are really knowing each other. Is defense now at a premium?
Yeah, easy baskets are at a premium. Extra possessions are at a premium. Transition baskets are at a premium. You know, game plan mistakes are at a premium. I would say all those.
Doc, Joel, he acknowledged he was a little bit gassed at the end of the fourth quarter on Sunday.
He didn't have to acknowledge it.
Sure, yeah.
It was written all over his face.
Yes.
He said, "Coach, I hadn't played in 2 weeks." And I told him me either.
Yeah. To that point, I guess, what do you keep an eye on just from that perspective going into tonight for as he continues to work his way back?
Yeah, I mean, you just watch it. I mean, we're playing in those 12 straight minutes, which he tends to handle is just when he comes back in. So we may adjust a little bit on that, you know, maybe 11, just to give him, you know, if you can get him out, if the game's going right before those quarters, you know, you get the 1 minute or so before the quarter, you get the entire quarter break. But sometimes the game doesn't lend itself to that. And so, you know, I have my little sheet that I do every day with all our coaches. It rarely goes that way, you know, but if it can, it'd be great.
Doc, what stood out to you about Joe Mazzulla and his coaching style? And he also acknowledged regret about not calling a timeout at the end of overtime.
I wouldn't have if I was him.
Okay.
You know, you live with the decision you make. They have two incredible players, and I thought Joe was right. They had a hell of a matchup advantage, you know. So I think he was just being nice, you know.
What goes into acknowledging something like that as a coach? And are you a person that, you know, likes to say I made a mistake, or is it best to kind of just power forward?
You do both. When you make a mistake, and it's obviously you say you made a mistake, and when you don't think it's a mistake, you don't say you made a mistake. You know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, everyone's not going to agree with your decisions, whether you're right or wrong, or if it works or not. So you just got to keep doing your job. I think Joe's done a great job in that. He really has. He doesn't get flustered. You know, he's got a great calm about him, and he commands the room.
He mentions he likes to dictate as opposed to react. Are you in the same mindset there, where you're not necessarily coaching against him, but you want to?
Well, we all like to dictate if we can, you know, but sometimes you have no choice. If you get foul trouble, or if a guy on the other team is playing well, then you're reacting. You know, sometimes you can control by substitutions, you know, but we react, and I think you do both during every game. You just keep doing what you have to do to win that game.
Doc, I think you mentioned, you know, Joel and, you know, how tired he was and all those things. I guess on the defensive end, this was a tough matchup for that on paper coming into the series, just because they spread the floor and he has all those decisions whether to help or not. I guess how has he handled that?
He's done pretty well. I mean, there's stretches in each game where he's lost guys. You know, we're trying to move him around on different guys, not have the obvious guard of like guarding, you know, Horford. Sometimes we've put on a couple guards or their forwards a couple times out of timeouts just to try to mix it up with him. You know, but You knew that's coming in this, man. Like, and I talked to our whole team about it before the year. Like, you knew, at least we felt like, you're going to have to play and go through Boston at some point. And they play a certain way, and so you better be ready for it. So, that's what we tell all our guys is winning's hard, playing them is hard. They create tough matchups, and we got to do it.
Doc, when it comes to the minutes when Joel is sitting, what are you looking at to decide whether to go with Paul in the backup center or those lineups with PJ at center like you used briefly in the last game?
Well, just how we're playing, how we feel. We felt like, the Paul matchup's been good, and then the other game it didn't do that well. We felt like we needed more space. Sometimes we also do it to get some of their guys off the floor. When we go with certain guards, they take guys off the floor. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Doc, if you could put your hand on one thing, what do you think this game is going to come down to?
Making shots. I swear, it's all the other things. Obviously, defending and rebounding and so far it's the team that's had the most shots has won the game. But at the end of the day, the ball has got to go in for your team. And you got to do whatever you can to make them miss. It's a make-miss league. It always will be. And that's the bottom line.
Doc, just to follow that up, is that a common denominator as the games get bigger and bigger as you go throughout a series?
Yeah, it is. But the intangibles are still a huge part of it. If they're, I don't know. I watched the game last night. It felt like they rebounded until they made a shot. Well, at the end of the day, you're not going to win that game if that's happening. I don't care if you're making or missing shots. You just are not. So you have to do all the intangible things. And then when you wipe all that stuff out, then it comes down to your guys making shots. The good players are always going to get a certain amount of good shots, no matter what you do defensively. And when they start going in, it lifts everyone else as well. And so it's really important that we make shots.
Hey, Doc, I got a question that's not about this series, but I just want to know what it's going to take for Sam to get a shot, because he's been an assistant for so long, and it seems like he's really had an effect on a lot of guards, but he's not really getting that opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's terrific. He's got an incredible basketball mind, and I wish people can just see the mind. I mean, he's a brilliant basketball mind. I love when we have our little meetings. We have our offensive meeting and our defensive meeting. Sam's the only one that goes to both. Because he's that valuable. And it's great. I go to both and Sam goes to both. Then we have our offensive group of coaches and our defensive group of coaches. And, he deserves it.
With the defensive variety you were talking about, how much of that is your gut feel? How much of that is your assistants like Dan Burke and Sam? How much of that's the players in the moment?
I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
The defensive variety you were talking about.
It's all of us. I mean, we're staff. We work together. It's what I want. My coaches know that. But then, they have a voice, and, you listen, and they say things that, we'll debate on things, and sometimes I'll say this is what we're doing. Sometimes I go with, it's part of a team. That's what coaching is. You have a team of guys, and you trust them all, and you push them all to give their opinions, and then you make a decision. Thanks, guys.